Alright guys, welcome back. We are playing Higurashi When They Cry. Chapter 6, Tsumihoroboshi, which I have no idea what that means. I assume it's going to tell us, like that opening card thing, right? Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what this chapter's going to be about. We didn't get an all-cast review, where, like, before they kind of hinted what the next chapter would be. No idea what this one's going to be about at all. We got the school. We're looking at the school. I wonder, one of my notes that I've written down from all the way back in chapter 1 was writing down that the school has an incinerator at it. I don't even remember when they mentioned that. It's just on, like, one of my first pages of my notes, is, that there's an incinerator at the school. It's at the top page. It's at the top line of my second page of notes. I don't remember. That's never mattered. That's never come up. That's never meant to anything. Maybe it will. Who knows, right? That's my call out for this chapter. Um, Last chapter was like the best thing ever, right? So if the rest of these chapters are that good, I just don't even know if that's possible. But like if they are, that would be insane. Expectations are high going into this after that last chapter. That is for sure. There's stuff I want to talk about. I wanted to talk about like Rika. My thoughts on Rika. Because I don't know what to think about her. I guess my thoughts are I don't know what to think about her. Like I've had this theory this whole time, right? My theory about like all the time stuff going on with Rika, which like I guess it's like a theory, but it's like just pretty obvious, right? Like that was the point of those tips and her perspective about like time and boredom and all of that, right? Back in chapter 4. The question is just, does all of this Oishiro-sama stuff like mean anything? Right? Because maybe it does, and I'm worried that I have been too dismissive of it in a way. Because I was thinking about chapter 5 a lot, and I was thinking about how during that scene, when Mion is talking to Rika at the school, right, when she's talking to her about, what they're going to do to punish the people who went into the storehouse and all of this, and Rika says all that stuff about Oishiro-sama, all of that, I just feel like all of that can't mean nothing, right? Like, there's obviously some kind of weird thing going on with Rika, which like my perception of it has been um like weird seemingly split multiple personality thing, right? My perception of it has been um it makes me think back to in chapter 2 when Keiichi was talking to Rika about like how he's supposed to cope with the fact that all these people are being murdered, like talking to everyone. And Rika said that you should just forget about it. You shouldn't think about it, and all of this. It makes me think that that's like Rika's strategy for coping with her horrible, terrible existence, right? Like from chapter 4, from the chapter 4 tips, we get like this glimpse into her mind of how horrible and depressed and bored and awful everything is from her perspective. So I think like her cutesy, bubbly personality, it's not like it's entirely fake, really, right? Because I don't like viewing things in that way. Um, but it certainly is like it's like a not really a facade. I don't know what you would call it, but like you know what I'm getting at, right? So it's not like the Rika with like the creepy older woman voice is like the real Rika exactly. They're both the real Rika, that's kind of how I've perceived it. And like the problem with that is the other end is like, yeah, you could say it all leads some credence to this actual crazy Oishiro-sama stuff, right? And it's like maybe I've just been so dismissive of it. Oh god. I've just been so dismissive of it the entire story for the most part, right? Like I don't even remember when it started. I just started thinking that all this Oishiro-sama stuff is just made up and it's just a bunch of bullshit, right? Like there's just no way. Um, but at this point, I just I don't think there's any reason to think that. Because we already have confirmed like weird supernatural stuff with the Rika like time whatever stuff is going on there. Alongside like um the footsteps following people, right? Which like following the last chapter has much more of a strange like supernatural vibe to it now. It just makes me think: is all of this stuff with Rika and the Oishiro-sama stuff? I guess I should have been thinking about it a lot more, right? I've just been dismissing it. I've been dismissing it basically as like not red herrings, I guess, but just stuff that I think is just explanations that the characters in the universe are coming up with that are just like wrong, right? But I don't know if that makes any sense. I guess I'm not saying that I think Oishiro-sama really is Rika, and Rika dying in chapter 3, like, removed the protection of Oishiro-sama, that's why everyone died, right? I don't think that's the case. I think that's the case at all, right? Because that would be such an unsatisfying answer to the mysteries, right? That's the problem. But that doesn't mean that this weird Oishiro-sama stuff involving Rika, none of it is real at all. I just don't think it's gonna be the direct answers to all of the mysteries, right? Like how Rena says that the curse of Oishiro-sama, all of this, it's all just Oishiro-sama doing blah 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 blah, and that's it, you know? That is not going to be the answers to the mysteries, right? That would be so unsatisfying, that would be so awful if the answer really was, it's just Oishiro-sama doing god stuff, right? But I think I have been too dismissive of thinking that there actually is some kind of element like that at play in the story. It feels like kind of undeniable at this point with all the stuff with Rika. But it's so possible that it's not. It's so possible that it's all just not like that at all, right? And I don't know how I would possibly know. I guess I just don't know if I have enough information other than just going off vibes, whether or not to accept it, right? Because that's the problem, is normally in this story, when the author makes sure I have some kind of information about something, it's like there's a reason the author gave it to us. I can understand that it's easy to tell, like, what important information is and what isn't, like, in a way, right? Like, for example, like in chapter 3, the end of chapter 3, the reporter telling Keiichi that the place he was laying wouldn't have been affected by the gas, right? Or would have been affected by the gas, so it should be dead, right? That is important. That's obviously important information. That's not, there's a reason that's there. That's to make you think. That's to make you doubt the entire explanation of it being from, like, this, the gas explosion, all of this, you know. Right, that's an example of what I mean. Whereas all the Oishiro-sama stuff, it felt like in, like, chapter 1 and chapter 2, it was purposefully there to mislead you, to make you search for an explanation like that. It also made sense, like, in universe from, like, a character perspective, right? Like, the struggle Keiichi was having about whether or not to think it was Oishiro-sama doing everything, or if his friends were just evil psychopaths, right? I think it's either of those things, obviously, right? But that is the dilemma Keiichi was having, right? So, like, from a story character perspective too, it made sense that the Oishiro-sama stuff was there. But it just felt like a thing to almost, like, distract you. But I think now, with some of the information, with the way it's been being handled with, like, Rika, it doesn't feel like that anymore, and it's hard to change my perspective on it, right? Because, like, that's the interesting thing, is, like, Rika has this view of Oishiro-sama from the stuff that she was saying to Shion, in the last chapter, that seems very different than the way other people view Oishiro-sama, right? So, like, I mean, like, again, it's like we're already kind of off in the deep end of weird supernatural stuff going on, right? Like, is Oishiro-sama the one who gave Rika this time ability, whatever's happening, right? So Rika, like, literally, like, goes and hangs out with Oishiro-sama? Like, maybe, right? That sounds weird, you know? Rika certainly seems to think that Oishiro-sama is, like, different than all the folklore and the, you know, the stories around them make them out to be, right? Which maybe that makes sense, right? Because, like, it's almost like that version of Oishiro-sama is the one that feels like the red herring, the vengeful god, the unsatisfying explanation for all of the questions in the story, right? Whereas if Oishiro-sama is actually something different, like Rika says, then, I mean, it could just be anything, right? It could just be anything, right? And it makes sense either way why Oishiro-sama has the lore and the stories surrounding it that it does, right? Okay, I just wanted to talk about all that, because I'm trying to, I don't know, trying to figure all this out, but it's, oh god, okay. Let's start, huh? God, my throat. I don't know what is going on. Tsumihoroboshi, the first fall, atonement chapter. Is that what that means? Atonement. Who is atoning for what? Who needs to atone in the story? How is your reasoning towards the truth coming along? Oh, I'm trying. The next tragedy is ready for you. Enjoy. This is a humorous story with a tragic struggle at the end. The difficulty is 0. You can just enjoy the clowns milling about. The difficulty is 0. That is an interesting thing for him to say. I feel like there's no way the difficulty can be 0. That immediately is making me doubt everything about this chapter now. If the difficulty is allegedly 0. Interesting. Who needs to atone? Who needs to atone? Tepe? I doubt it's going to be Tepe. Okay. Let's go, I guess. This arc includes choices. They're in the console version, blah, 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 blah. We are not doing the additional choices. Skip additional choices, show only content. Yes, okay. The first time, I would try harder to avoid the inevitable tragedy. The second time, I would be disgusted with the inevitable tragedy. The third time, my disgust would turn into anguish. The seventh time, I'd be laughing by then. Okay. Sounds like Rika, huh? Ooh. We are at the dump. The chorus of the Higurashi had replaced that of the old cicadas. Their cries came from a distance, echoed loudly, and then faded away. They sounded so weak and fragile. Rena's voice was just like the cries of the Higurashi. She'd say something, but the words would quickly fade away. Are we back to Keiichi? She sounded so fragile that it made me worry she might vanish into thin air along with her words. But nobody is pressuring her to continue. Mion dusted off the hood of an abandoned car and sat down on it as if to show how relaxed she was. Wait. Huh. Sounded so fragile. Why is Rena fragile? You know, I never really get the idea of Rena being fragile. She certainly, puts off, like, she seems so unfragile compared to so many other characters, you know? She actually did look very relaxed, as if she came here to enjoy the cool breeze of the evening or something. Satoko followed Mion's example and sat down as well. She didn't look nearly as relaxed, however. I thought about following suit, but it felt rude to look away from Rena, even for the short time it would take to look for a place to sit down. So, I decided to remain standing. Rika-chan didn't sit down either. But she wasn't looking at Rena. Everybody else was looking at Rena, but Rika-chan was looking at the red sky. Rika-chan's expression was hard to describe. She looked pale and blank at the same time, as if all her emotions were gone. Rena wore the same kind of expression. She kept trying to say something, but it seemed like the words were stuck in her throat. She noticed Rika-chan was looking at the sky, so she decided to look that way as well. Mion did the same. So did I. Satoko looked that way too. And with that, there was silence. It was like we were in a concert hall, filled with the chorus of the Higurashi. A concert hall with the highest roof in the world. A refreshingly cool breeze tickled our sweaty bodies. I could almost make myself believe we came here to enjoy the breeze and the sunset. I could only wish that was what we came here for. What are we doing here? What are we doing here, huh? This is very interesting. Looking at the red sky. Why is everybody looking at Rena? What's happening? The shadows of the birds flying across the sky soured the feeling of our quiet concert. They reminded us that time hadn't stopped. Ooh. Nobody wanted to pressure Rena. We didn't want time to pressure her either. We wanted to keep the cool red sky as long as we could, so Rena could calm down and talk. Right then, I heard a sound, and it brought us all back to reality, some kind of like confrontation, right? The hood Mion was sitting on had made a noise when she moved across her legs. I don't know whether Mion made the noise on purpose or not, but it reminded us that time had been passing by. The noise took our attention away from the sky and back to the ground. Such a tasteless noise seemed to have urged Rena to speak. Rena heaved a small sigh, nodded as if she understood something, and looked at us like she always did.
話す前に一個だけ言いたいことがあるの。
Okay. She was probably saying it to everybody, but since I'm standing in the middle, with her looking at me, I nodded to her to represent our agreement.
レナは正しい努力をしたと思ってる。
I think I did the right thing. That is an interesting thing for her to say. We've talked about it before, but I've had this perception of Rena as being a character who, whatever happened at her old school, when she like broke all the windows and beat those people up and whatever happened, right? I've had the perception that she's like regretted it, or she's like tried to look for an explanation for her own actions in some way. And that's why she has grappled with the whole Oishiro-sama curse thing so much, right? So, her worrying about whether or not she did the right thing, or being affirming that she did the right thing, whatever she's talking about here, I think is an interesting thing, right? With like that part of her character. Her voice wasn't hoarse anymore. She sounded just like she always did.
人って幸せになるためにどれだけの努力が許されるのかな?
How much we're allowed to struggle in order to be happy. It sounded like a question, but nobody answered. Interesting. How much we're allowed to struggle in order to be happy. Struggle in what way? What would stop you from struggling, right? Like your effect on other people? You know, like what do you mean allowed, I guess, right? Or, like, whether or not the struggling is leading to happiness, I suppose, right? Like, if your life is just struggling, if all you're doing in life is struggling, how do you know if that's leading you to happiness or not, I suppose, right?
だからね、私みーちゃんの部活って好きなの。
Right, it's happy.
ほら、友情のためには何でもしようって考え方。
Sure.
そういうのって素敵だと思う。
Also, of course, reminds me of that conversation in chapter 3 with Rena, right? That Keiichi and Rena had, which, like, it's interesting, right? You know, when she talked to Keiichi about, like, the idea of, you know, everything ending tomorrow, right? That, to savor the happiness while you still have it, you know? And it's just, that was such an interesting conversation at the time, too, like, for Rena, because it just shows that it's something that Rena herself has thought about a lot, right? That this idea of your happiness being temporary, all this kind of thing, something that she values so much because she is aware that it could go away, you know? It's something that she herself has struggled with, has thought about a lot, you know?
だって世の中が綺麗事で縛られてて、やっていい努力がわずかだけに決められていたら、
Interesting.
幸せじゃない人たちはますます幸せを勝ち取れなくなっちゃうじゃない?
It's an interesting way to think about it, because it's like the implication behind this to me is, if you aren't happy, well, what are you seizing the happiness from, I suppose, right? You aren't seizing it from other people, are you? Because I wouldn't like that way of thinking about it at all. And I guess I think in the club, in Michan's club, right, when they play games, I don't really think anyone's seizing happiness from another person through playing, right? But I guess that's not really the analogy, right? The analogy is winning being happiness, right? So in that sense, you kind of are. Is struggle necessary to be happy, right? Maybe struggle is necessary for life, or struggle is inevitable in life, right? I guess if struggle is inevitable, happiness might not be. That doesn't mean... I guess I can understand how you would say then that struggle leads you to happiness, right? That struggle is necessary to be able to seize happiness, I suppose, right? You're always going to be struggling. And you might not always be happy. So, I can see that connection. I don't know.
不幸ってね、連鎖するものだと思うの。
Misfortunes.
一度続き始めるとなかなか抜け出せない。
Yeah, that's God. How long have we been stuck there, huh? With misfortunes happening? Been like the whole story.
そこから抜け出すには運とか人の助けとか、そういう
Interesting.
他力本願なものだけじゃ到底足りない。
God, I want to see Rika's reaction to what she's saying right now.
自分でももっともっと努力しないといけないと思うの。
You need to struggle as hard as you possibly can. In order to escape a chain of misfortunes, you need more than just luck or even assistance. Assistance isn't enough. Luck isn't enough. You just have to try as hard as you can. I agree. In a sense, you have to be... Sure. If you're struggling and your life sucks and is misfortunate and all of this, right? Yeah, you have to try to escape it, at the very least, right?
それも本当の本当に精一杯。
Or at the least, you should, right? You might be able to escape it by not trying as hard as you can, right? But if you don't try as hard as you can, you might have been able to escape it if you don't.
そこまでしてやっとつかめるのが幸せってものじゃないかなって。
I just think this is in a sense kind of a sad way to look at it in my mind, right? Viewing it's because of the way we're talking about happiness as something you have to seize, right? Something that isn't like natural, right? The idea that the base state that you are in is like unhappiness, and you have to struggle and you have to struggle and try to do all of these things in order to seize happiness, all of this, when I think that's just a sad way to look at it. I think happiness can be the default in a lot of ways, right? And that doesn't mean that you're just lucky, right? I think it's really easy, probably for someone like Rena, who does have, in a way, kind of some troubled stuff in her past and all of this stuff, to view it in that way, and I can understand that. And I guess I could understand the argument that you always have to struggle to seize happiness, right? Maybe true happiness, whatever you want to imagine the difference between that and just happiness is, right? But, like, I think happiness can be a lot more simple than Rena thinks it is, Maybe. Rena stopped talking, looked up, heaved a sigh, and opened her mouth again.
でもだからってみんなにもそれを受け入れてもらおうなんて甘えるつもりもないかな。
What did you do, Rena?
だって本当に汚らしいもの。
Interesting.
みんなだってついさっき呆然としたでしょ。
But yeah, it was in pursuit of happiness, right?
それはつまり、そういうことだよね。
I've never seen her smile so self-derisively like this. That smile looked unbelievably painful. I could really feel how huge the distance between us was. There's nothing physically there, but I felt as if she's talking to us through an iron bars or a chain link fence. That's how great the distance between us was. Yeah, no, I understand that, right? Like how the way that right now she feels this need to, like, explain herself and her actions and all of this, compared to, like, the Rena that it feels like we normally know,
でもそれでもいいよ。仕方ないもんね。
Nothing we can do about it.
そういう風にできてる世の中だもん。
Yeah. That's what I mean, saying it's kind of sad, right?
多分私が逆の立場でいられたなら同じように唖然として無責任で無慈悲な同情を浮かべていたに違いないもの。
Because, like her saying this, that's just how things are, right? That there will always be this endless struggle that you have to go through in order to obtain happiness, right? Like, I almost feel like that's like antithetical to the entire point of the story here, where it feels like every time everything's fine, like by default, the group, the club is happy, right? Not without no struggle, not without people putting their part in to remaining happy, I suppose, right? That's always part of it, but... And then something happens. There's some kind of inciting event. There's a culprit, right? There's something making everyone unhappy, that kills everyone, right? So I almost feel like I can't help but apply this to, like, Rika's apathetic attitude about things, right? Because Rika almost feels like she's in a similar boat to this. Her attitude about, like, nothing mattering and it being impossible to change anything and it just being random and all of this, Which, like, from her perspective, depending how long it's been, how much she's dealt with this thing, right? Everything just ending horribly every time, over and over again, right? You can understand her perspective on that, But if Rena's answer to someone like Rika would be, you just need to struggle more and try harder, well, I think Rika has struggled more than anyone in the world, it seems, right? Like, how many times has Shion killed her? I don't know, right? So I don't think that's the answer. I think taking it all on your shoulders like that, thinking, if I'm not happy, then I should have just struggled more. I should have tried harder. All of this, That's putting so much weight on your shoulders. That's viewing it in such a negative way. But it's also positive in a sense, because then it's like, then you're rejecting the idea that your unhappiness was unavoidable, Because if there's nothing you personally could have done about it, then what should you have done, right? You're doomed to be unhappy, I don't know. But I guess it's just this idea that in Rena's pursuit of happiness, it's like she was doomed to hurt other people, for other people to to view what she did as bad, or even as she views it, right, as having done a very bad thing, whatever she did. I reject the idea that that's just the way things are. That was her only path towards happiness, you know? She probably said that to hit back at us. We're just putting on a mask of sympathy, enjoying the spectacle of a clown on a stage. That's why she said that. She probably expected us to say something in return, but none of us knew what to say. Rena looked disappointed for a moment, then turned and clambered on top of an abandoned car. Huh. Ooh. Then she spread her arms out and gave a little twirl, letting her skirt billow up before she grabbed both ends and gave us a graceful curtsy.
じゃあ始めるよ。
Sure.
竜宮レナの一世一代の頑張り物語を。
She did her best. How she did her best. Okay, okay. There's no curtain or spotlight. She was atop an abandoned car amidst the trash piles, a stage specially made for her. We tried not to miss a word of what she was about to say. We believed that was the least we could do to not hurt her feelings. Chapter 6, Tsumihoroboshi, Atonement Chapter. Okay, now that makes more sense, that title. Maybe. I wonder, I assume there's gonna be more meaning to it, but... Interesting. Okay, that is a very intriguing introduction to the chapter, isn't it? I don't know. It makes me really think. Really some interesting themes, some interesting stuff, right? Stuff that feels very relevant to, I don't know, just the story at large, just all of the characters in a way, too, right? Because Keiichi's had the same problem, I think, with, like, the idea of, like, happiness and all of this, right? At least just through, like, the struggles he's dealt with, like, over the course of the story, you know? Let's say it's a winter month like December right now. What would you do if, all of a sudden, you had a week of hot and humid days with crying cicadas? Would you still wear your coat and scarf? And this is making me think more of Rika. God, right? Like the weather. Rika would... What would Rika do if in December there was suddenly a day of hot and humid weather, right? God. Absolutely not, right? I wouldn't, yeah. Even though it's still June, it's already summer to us, since we've been having hot days for so long. So, it's totally okay to do this kind of club activity in June. At my school, everybody usually does what they want in PE class, but today would be an exception. All of my classmates were gathered in the schoolyard. Mion looked over everybody gathered there, then spoke up loudly. Oh, we're back. Oh, we're back. We get oh, God. How long has it been since we've had a club game? Like, half of the story, right? Like the beginning of chapter 3 or something, right? Like, it has been so long since we've had a club game. Did we even have any, like, real proper club games in chapter 3? Yeah, I guess there's, like, the bento contest, right? Were there any after that? I don't really think so. They played baseball, but then Tepe showed up, right? So, like, all of chapter 4, no club games. All of chapter 5, no club games, right? Like, oh, God, we're back. We're back. Finally. Finally. They all raised the water guns in their hands. It's okay to use water guns in June, because it's so hot and humid. All my classmates are joining in, so it's going to be a big water gun battle. I'm so excited. This is very interesting. This line of thinking, right? It's okay to use water guns in June. Even though it's still June, it's already summer to us since we've been having hot days for so long, so it's totally okay to do this kind of club activity in June. Like her weird, like looking for justification, or I guess not justification for her actions, but thinking that everything has to be okay. You know what I mean? I don't know what to call that, but you know what I mean, right? I don't know, that's interesting.
さすがクラス全員で部活だとなんだか盛り上がりますわね。
Very.
そうだね。全員で表ではしゃぐのってなんだか楽しそうかな。みんなは楽しいですが、僕たちは例によって負けられないのです。
True.
ま、そういうこったな。およそ勝負と名の付く以上、俺たち部活メンバーは常にリスクを背負ってるからな。
Can I just say, I'm so glad we have Keiichi back. I actually missed Keiichi so much. I loved Shion as a narrator. Like, she was amazing as a character and everything, right? She's like the best, right? But like, it's just like I'm home, right? We're back. We're back, right? We're fine. We're chilling. It's been so long, right? We're back. We have Keiichi. Everything's okay. Everything's okay. We're fine. And that's interesting, right? I thought we were in Rena POV there, but I guess we aren't, right? Because we saw Rena, right? I thought this was all from Rena's POV, but I guess it isn't. Maybe. Well, no, that's interesting. I wonder if the narrator in this is Rena. I don't know if the narrator is Rena, because this is the context of this is her telling them all the story, right? From here, you know? The story of Rena doing her best. Maybe, right? Because this doesn't feel like a Keiichi thing to say, but maybe it is, right? I guess. Maybe this is all Keiichi's thoughts. And maybe I was just thinking about it wrong. I don't know. I'm trying to think if there's anything here. I don't know. I think we were going to answer pretty quickly, right? Whether or not these are Rena's thoughts or Keiichi's thoughts, right? God, how long has it been since we've had a penalty, huh?
よしよし、もう生徒諸君、武器点検は十分か？弾倉は満タンか？任せてくださいよ、前原さん。
Oh God, uh-oh. Tomita and Okamura are gonna fuck us up.
富田たちはよく水鉄砲で遊んでますから、かなり強敵かもなのですよ。
That's not fair. Come on.
今日の僕たちは少し違います。
Tomita-kun and Okamura-kun smiled confidently, holding their guns in a practiced manner. Their skills must give them confidence. They even looked different.
ミオンは言うに及ばず、サトコもリカちゃんもかなり強敵になりそうだぜ。レナはどうだ？ちょこまか動いて、いいの一番にやられないように頑張れよ。そういえば、
I bet Rena's gonna win.
最近のレナは罰ゲーム常連だな。
But she tried her best, right? Come on.
最近不得意なゲームが多かったから。でもケイチ君も最近私と同じで罰ゲームが多いと思うかな。
Does Keiichi ever win? Come on.
罰ゲームの格好のまま帰宅して、さあ脱ごうとしたところでお袋に見つかった俺の哀愁など、わかるものか。
Why is it always Keiichi cross-dressing? Like, why is that always, you know? Like, what? Like, Keiichi, do we need to have a talk? Like, what's going on? Like, what's that noise?
私だって先週のはひどいよ。普通の女
Don't
の子
say
なら
that.
お嫁に行けなくなっちゃうよ。
Don't say that, please. Sadako laughed at us loudly while we were shuddering at the memory of the cruel punishments we suffered in the past. Also, it's good to see Sadako not tortured to death and dead, right? It's been a rough few chapters for Sadako, huh?
覇気や運気にも偏りというのがございましてよ。
It's actually just been endless Sadako torture for the past. Chapter 2, she got tortured to death. Chapter 3, the worst shit ever. Chapter 4, she was dead. Chapter 5, she got tortured to death. Like, can we have a good ending for Sadako ever, please?
その意味から言えば、
Do
こ
you?
こしばらくのレナさんやケイチさんはいわゆる負け組というやつでございま
Thank
す
you.
わね。
Thank you, Sadako. They're just both losers. Thank you, thank you,
確
thank
か
you.
に負け癖ってやつはあるね。
No, that's actually... Oh, God, that is an interesting thing to say, that once you get used to losing, you can't stop, right? Again, it makes me think about Rika a little bit. It makes me think about like the general like defeatist attitude you can easily fall into, you know? There's something true to it, right?
どうしてやつは負けが続くとくじけてくる。
Yeah.
絶対勝てるという信念が砕けると、全く同じことをやっても裏目に出るもんだからね。
Right.
てめえらたまたま俺とレナがちょいと罰ゲームを哀れに
Oh,
持って引き受
of
けてやってた
course,
の
of course,
感謝もせずに
naturally.
その言い草
Right.
か。
Uh-huh.
あら、そうでしたの？それは感謝の気持ちが足りず申し訳ないことでございましたよ。
うわーサトコてめえ
He doesn't want thanks from
その
Sadako.
セリフは
Yeah.
俺の怒りに火をつけたぜ。
Keiichi, we have a bad history with oil and flames from you, so please.
その意気だよケイちゃん。まあせいぜいあがいておじさんを楽しませてちょうだいよね。
I love the game music so much.
レナも頑張って。あうあう言ってる間にクラスで一番最初に脱落したら
Sure.
さすがに恥ずかしいからね。
How do you dodge water? How do you dodge? Like, if the game is whoever gets shot with the water gun just loses, right? How do you dodge it? Like, you just have to hope that they don't shoot you first, right? Like, what do you do? It's like, is it like tag, where like you, like, do you get to like run away first? How close are you to the person? Does everyone have a water gun, right? If everyone has a water gun, which I guess that's what we're doing, right? How do you not get shot? Like, what? How do you can't dodge it, right? You dive through the air to dodge the water as it's flying towards you. That's not gonna happen, right? Like, what? I don't know.
でもその可能性も高いかな。
Yeah, because everyone just targets Rena. Like, what are we gonna do, right? You can't win.
一番最初に脱落するのがレナさんだと思いましたよ。
And maybe that is actually an interesting thing. That's kind of a game where no matter how hard you try, if everyone just targets you, you just lose. What are you gonna do,
どん
right?
な目に遭うか今からお覚悟なさいませな。ひどいよ。みーちゃんもさとこちゃんも。レナもケイイチもファ
Thank
イ
you.
トおーですよ。
Thank you, Rika. Thank you. Mion and Sadako laughed at us as loud as they could, then moved on to tease their next target. Left alone, all I could do was stomp on the floor in anger. It is Keiichi thoughts. Okay. Interesting. Oh god, that's so weird to me though. I feel up here it felt so much not like Keiichi thoughts, you know? Wait, where is it? You're like right at the start of this, right? But I guess it is. That makes me sad that these are Keiichi thoughts. I assume these were Keiichi thoughts, and it's not we're doing a split narrator, but whatever. I'm gonna stop rambling about it.
絶対負けねえ。あそこまで言われたら負けられねえぜ。
そうだね。あそこまで言われると悔しいよね。
Right. Let's show them,
悔
right?
し
Come
いど
on.
ころじゃねえぞ。プライドの問題だぞ。くさ。
Isn't that how it feels?
みーちゃんの言うように負け癖ってやっぱりあるかもしれないよね。
Sure.
だから今日は絶対に勝ってみんなを見返してやろう。
Okay, okay. Rena's eyes looked different. She's usually a funny and weird person, but I know she has the determination to do what she needs to. When Rena looks like this, she can be a tough opponent.
今日は私も部活の規則にのっとり手加減なしでいく。
おい、なんだかかっこいいこと言うじゃねえの。
We got this. We're gonna
まる
win.
で普段の自分はわざと手を抜いているって言わんばかりだぜ。
Sure. Rena smiled. Or maybe you could have called it a wicked grin. She was serious. She was serious about what she said. I could tell that from her expression alone. Among all the club members, Rena is easily the most sensible one. The rule of our club is that we can do anything in order to win, but she's the only one who has moral qualms in doing it. That's why we rarely have a hard time against her, except for when she snaps. Interesting, yeah. It's rare to hear her say that she won't go easy. That's very interesting, right? Saying that Rena has moral qualms about trying as hard as she can to win, because she just said in that opening scene that that's what she likes about the club, is that people can try as hard as they want to win, right? Does she feel like she doesn't deserve to try as hard as she can? I don't know. Is it for the sake of
そん
others?
な笑い方されたら俺も超本気で行くしかねえじゃねえかよ。
いつも本気で戦うのが部活だけど、それでもやっぱりそれ以上に本気じゃないといけない時ってあるよね。
How can you fight with all you have and then fight even more with all you have?
今日は多分それだね。
だな。
We pounded our fists together. Usually, when we really don't want to lose the game, one asks the other to work together, but Rena didn't ask this time, which meant that she was going to try and defeat everybody by herself. No, not try. She was going to do it by herself. Yes. Rena looked really cool at that moment, but I wasn't scared. If she was seriously going to do it, I'd have to be serious and do it too. My fighting spirit had been dented after many losses, but had begun to burn hot once more.
ケイイチ君もなかなかいい顔してるね。怖いな。 全員と一人で戦っても勝てるつもりでいる顔だね。
He can do it. I believe in
レナ
him.
だってそのつもりだろ。
じゃあぶつかるのは最後だね。
Right,
互いにク
at
ラ
the
ス
very
全員を
end.
全滅させたら最後にはそうなるな。
Interesting. Yeah.
最後の戦いの時、そこにいるのがケイイチくんなのを期
They
待してるね。
They both lose instantly. We pounded our fists together again.
光線規定はちゃんと覚えてるね。被弾時の申請だけは正直にね。
Okay,
被弾
no
した人は
cheating.
撃っちゃダメだよ。仮に当てても無効ね。
ミオン、被弾の定義を再確認したいぜ。
Okay.
水鉄砲で撃たれたら被弾。
It's that simple? I guess.
ひねくれたケイちゃんのためにさらに補足するなら、
that is a pretty complicated explanation.
水
Please
鉄
do.
砲というこの容器から出た水が
I-
最初に触れたものが標的であったとき、
I
被弾と
guess,
する
I
わけ。
guess.
つまり水鉄砲を経由した水をバケツに溜めてぶっかけても無効ってわけ。
Are we planning on Sadako's walking up behind Keiichi with a bucket of water right now?
直接攻撃以外は有効。さとこちゃんの脅威が少し薄らいだかな。
Oh, right, exactly. I mean, Sadako will do it anyway,
トラッ
but
プにもいろいろ
yeah.
ございましたよ。レナさんなんか一番最初に餌食にして差し
There's
上げ
gonna
ま
be
し
like
たよ。
a tripwire that drops you into a pit, and then she just walks up and shoots you. Like,
それは無理。私を仕留めようとしたらさとこちゃんじゃまだまだ役不足だね。
right.
なんですって
ほほほレナが売り言葉とはね。こりゃ面白くなりそうだよ。
Very.
ね、ケイちゃん。
大して面白くねえと思うぞ。俺かレナかどっちにやられたいかを選ばされるだけだ。
Like, they're just gonna target you. They're just gonna target you and Rena right away at this
ケ
rate.
イチもやる気満々なのです。
Mion seemed to sense the fighting spirit in me and Rena. I could tell that she's as serious as we are, just from the way she looks.
よっしゃ、いい面構えだよ。気に入った。じゃあ始めるよ。
Let's
全員
do
3
it.
回。くじで決められた場所に移動してね。
Everybody had to draw lots to pick a place to start the game from. It wouldn't be fun if everybody was close together at the beginning of the game. Okay, makes sense. By the way, my starting position was behind the school building. That's a good starting spot, probably. When I drew this starting position, I thought about hiding until there were only a few people left, like I did in our last game of tag. But a defensive tactic like that wasn't interesting to me anymore. If you really want to win, that might be the best way, though. Right? I hadn't been this excited in a long time. My legs were shaking from the excitement. I wonder... Huh. That's interesting, right? It's almost like the excitement getting in the way of maybe the smart thing to do in that case. It was my first time experiencing that kind of feeling. Please don't lose right away. I could hear Mion's countdown from some distance away.
2、
Oh god.
1。
A single shot of a toy pistol echoed. Oh god, what is this music? What's it called? Nights with the Invisible scares you. I see. With that sound, I was already running around the building. There had to be some underclassmen nearby. I'd usually assume that somebody else would take care of them, but this time was different. Oh god. What are we doing? Keiichi just gonna lose right away. Oh god, they stood frozen in fear as I ran towards them, screaming at the top of my voice. They took a moment to quickly decide whether to fight or run away, and in that moment, I shot one after another.
悪いな。
Like a literal, like, gun sound.
俺の隣が当たった時点で運がなかったと思ってくれ。
Yeah, next to him, the unstoppable monster. I felt bad for them because they lost the game so quickly, so I rubbed their heads to cheer them up, and then took their water guns. Yes, that was the key factor in this game. You can't put very much water in a water gun. With 10 people around you in a gun battle, the water would be gone in a minute. I abandoned the gun I used to shoot them, held one of their guns in each hand, and scoped out the schoolyard. Why not, like, put it in your pocket or something? Just like I expected, there was an intense battle happening there. In the short time it took me to take care of the area behind the school building, it seems like most of my classmates were already shot. I wasn't surprised, though. I kind of knew it happened. You need to have a high skill to fight in the open schoolyard, especially when most of the club members were there. It must have been like a battle of elephants and ants.
なんだミオンのあれは。
Oh god. But she has like a special custom water gun. Mion was holding a different water gun from the one she had when the game started. She's now holding one that looked like a huge machine gun. Oh, great. Oh, that's why the rules are what they are. I see, right. Its range capability, its pump-action shooting, and the amount of water it could hold were way beyond comparison. There were no restrictions on what kind of water guns we could use today. As long as it's a water gun, we were allowed to use any kind. Most of us have a normal pistol-style water gun from a local toy store or something similar. I would have bought a bigger one like Mion's if they'd had one. But they weren't in stock, and I'd have to order it in. In other words, Mion ordered hers a long time ago, just for today. She's always well prepared when it comes to winning. Or they've played this before, maybe, I don't know. She must have thought that we wouldn't allow her to use the big water gun if she showed it off before the game started, so she must have hidden it somewhere. It looks like most of our classmates were shot right after the game started. That's risky, though. She hid it somewhere? Like, what if her starting position was nowhere near it, you know? I don't know. Only a few were still alive, trying to survive as long as they could by using the heavy construction equipment as a shield. Mion mercilessly shot at them from various angles to make them come out from behind the shield. Tomoto-kun and Okamura-kun were trying their best to resist her attack from behind their shield. It looked like they had no chance against her, but that actually wasn't true. Oh god. After all, the two of them were only still alive because of all their experience in water gun battles. They're gonna get her. They survived the first few minutes of her assaults, even though 99% of their classmates didn't, and they were still surviving at that very moment. Mion, however, is also a battle-hardened soldier. I mean, she better not waste all her water, right? She used the advantage of her big water tank, and gradually but certainly drove them into a corner. It was only a matter of time until she broke them down. What if, like, two people shoot themselves at, like, the same time, right? Like, I feel like that's just what would happen. Like, if Tomoto just dove out there and tried to shoot her right away, you know? I don't know. Because, like they said, after you get shot, you shooting another person doesn't count, right? So how would they determine who got shot first, right? I suppose. They tried to hold out against her, but all they could do now was to keep running behind cover as Mion strafed closer and closer to them. They wanted to use their 2-against-1 advantage, but it seemed like they wouldn't even get that chance. If they had tried attacking recklessly, one of them might get shot, and then the other would have no chance of winning. So they grew more cautious, placing their bets on their final chance, but that caused their offense to wane. Interesting. Right. Of course, Mion saw through their plan. She was purposefully provoking them so that they'd lose their patience and start attacking recklessly. I think this is interesting, just like thematically, just for a second, compared to like, compared to what Rena was saying at the beginning. How they have to rely on each other, right? You know, if one of them goes out, the other has no chance, right? It's almost like we're kind of looking at the different angles of what, like, Rena said, are the factors to, like, obtaining happiness, I guess, right? Like, working together was something she mentioned, right? Luck and working together not being enough. And, having to just try your hardest, right? So, I don't know. Interesting. Because these two are trying together, right? Are we gonna see another person just be lucky? I don't know. Mion circled around the construction equipment, and now she was standing with her back towards me. If I went up against her machine gun fair and square, I wouldn't stand a chance. So, attacking from behind would be the only way for me to defeat her. Even though she was in a defenseless position, there was some distance between us. I was still too far away. Just run up to her. Get in there. But it would still be better to attack her now than take her head on. Don't hesitate, Keiichi. He's gonna run into like a Satoko trap on the way there. You won't have this chance again. I stepped out from my hiding place and ran as fast as I could towards her with 2 water guns in my hand. She's gonna hear your footsteps. Instead of approaching slowly and silently, I screamed at the top of my lungs. Oh god. I missed Keiichi so much. She recovered quickly. Mion seemed a little shocked by my surprise attack, but she immediately pulled herself together. She knew the advantages of her weapon. But she didn't shoot me just yet. She held back, luring me closer. Mion was well aware of how much water she had left. If she had the same kind of water gun as me, we would have had the same range capability. So, it would have been down to her technique to decide the winner. If she was fighting against one of her underclassmen, she could have defeated them easily. Mion immediately calculated her chance of winning against me, and figured out that her only chance was to use the advantage of her water gun. She saw the eye of the tiger in me, and recalculated her chances of winning in a split second. Saw the eye of the tiger, right. Really, I can admire how fast she does those things. I love Keiichi. God, I ran at top speed to shorten the distance between us. Like, what am I looking at? Our strength should have been equal. I had 2 water guns with full tanks, and she had a machine gun with a half-empty tank. We both waited for the perfect moment. Rena shoots them both right now.
今日のケイちゃんの気迫には敬意を表するよ。
今
日のあんたには正面からぶつかり合って互角以上の勝率を弾き出せる自信がない。
Whoever defeats her, though, gets her gun, which would be, like, big, right?
残念だぜミオン。勝率の弾き方も鈍ったな。
Certainly.
今日の俺に正面からぶつかり合ったら
Impossible.
てめえの負けだ。
The moment we stepped within range, Mion and I pulled our triggers at the same time. I gotta know what other, like, characters Keiichi's voice actor has done before. I love him so much. Mion set her sight squarely on me while I was trying to shoot and run at the same time. Her shot would obviously be more accurate than mine. My shot of water flew towards nowhere. Mion didn't even need to duck. But Mion's shot made a beautiful arc straight towards my chest. Oh god. I could see the line of water coming straight at me, but I was too unstable to dodge. I mean, that's impossible. Mion had no doubt that she got me. Oh, but what if... Okay. I guess. If someone gets... Okay, if someone gets Mion right now, like from behind, right? Then her shot, when it hits Keiichi, doesn't count, right?
やっぱり残念だぜミオン。今日のミオンのコンピューター
Right?
一手読みが足り
They're talking right now. All of this is happening. They're talking right now. They're having this long conversation while Mion's shot is going through the air towards Keiichi. Right. Okay. Thank you. Right. You're really disappointing me today, Mion. You could have figured it out if you'd spent just one more second to think. You could have figured out the reason why I didn't creep up on you, but screamed as loud as I could instead. Tomita and Okamura? Mion noticed my surprise attack and turned to face me. In other words, she turned her back on the opponent she was fighting earlier. Right. Those opponents heard my scream and saw that she had turned her back on them. Let's go. Okay. Mion noticed her back was wet and cold. She finally understood that the underclassman she was attacking earlier, she was attacking just earlier, had shown their fangs and attacked her from behind. I blocked her water shot with my arm, right before it hit my chest. The line of water was broken into droplets and splattered away. Big. Yeah, I mean, you had so much time, too. Time was frozen for a solid, like, minute, you know? Come on. Mion squatted down and covered her head. Now it was me versus Toma's-kun and Okamura-kun. Oh god, right. Temporary allies, huh? Their reflexes weren't so bad. They knew well that I'd be their next target after Mion was gone. They didn't feel sorry at all for attacking me right after I just saved them from their predicaments. I can respect the cruelty and how quickly they shifted gears. They may one day be able to join our club if they keep refining their sense and skill. No chance, he's gonna beat you guys, come on. They were, however, one step behind me. It was already too late. For them, Mion was their first target, and I was next. But I was different. My first target was them from the start. Oh god. What? Like, come on. I didn't even see Mion as my target to begin with, because I knew they'd take care of her. He's so smart. He's so brilliant. I was pointing my guns at them long before they moved their sights from Mion to me. It seemed like they noticed at the last moment that both my guns had been pointed at them from the beginning. Oh, because he has two of them, he can shoot them both at once. Perfect. Beautiful. Keiichi's a master tactician, which meant it was already too late for them. I jumped over Mion, rolled on the ground, and landed on my feet. What, Keiichi, you jumped over her, did like a somersault, and like sprang back up onto your feet? Keiichi, I don't believe that you did that. I don't believe you. I looked as elegant as an athlete who had just finished a perfect performance. I had a gun in each of my hands, and with those guns, I shot them each in the middle of their chests. God. He's so cool. He's so awesome. Mitsu-kun and Okamura-kun fell to their knees in disappointment.
ケイちゃんがこれだけのことをやってのけるな。
Oh no.
私も鈍っ
It's
たっ
not
て
you
こと
being
だ
off,
な。
it's him, it's his overwhelming power and skill. Mion wiped the dirt from her knees, looking frustrated.
別にミオンは鈍っちゃいなかったろ。
じゃあなんでおじさんが負けたわけよ。
そんなの決まってるじゃないか。
I twirled my guns on the tips of my fingers. God. Someone shoot this guy.
たまには勝たねえと格好がつかねえからだよ。
Right. Because normally, Keiichi just looks so cool, right? He can't, you know, he can't let that falter too much. So he has to win, right? Of course, you know. 'Cause most people, when they look at Keiichi, when they hear Keiichi, when they see him, you know, they immediately think, oh, he's so cool, right? Of course. There were only a few people left alive. Rena, Satoko, and myself. Rena and Satoko were fighting fiercely. What happened to Rika, huh? Oh, I don't know. You might be overlooking her. Maybe she's doing the hiding strategy, right? You never know. Were they evenly matched? No, Satoko was pushing her hard. Moving fast, she was driving Rena into a corner. Rena was usually gentle and slow, but today she was different. She was very serious today, and yet, Satoko was still overwhelming. She's a tough customer even without her tricky traps.
最初の異性はどこへ行ってしまいましたのかしら
She might have something up her sleeve, you never know.
いい動きをするね
Although I feel like Rena, her whole thing about just trying her hardest, you know? I feel like she wouldn't be the kind of person to have like some kind of underhanded strategy or something, you know? Like have a plan even, right?
私も負けら
But
れないよ
maybe, I don't know. I love this track so much, this music. It's so good. Satoko kept moving around, piling on pressure in order to pin Rena down. Like, compared to the old game, like the normal game music, I don't know, I can't decide. The normal game music has, like, some aspects to it that I really enjoy. But this track is really good. This track is really good. She kept shooting, so her tank must have almost been empty. But her shots were still sharp and fast. I wonder how much new music we're gonna get in this chapter, right? Obviously, in the last chapter, we got, like, literally all new music. But, like, compared to, like, Chapter 1 going to, like, Chapter 2 and Chapter 3, we only really got, like, a few new tracks in each of them, compared to just Chapter 1, right? So I wonder, I don't know, I wonder if we're gonna have a bunch of new music, like we did in Chapter 5 again, you know? Or if it's gonna be Chapter 5, that music's kind of the new, like, normal, you know? She kept shooting, so her tank must have almost been empty, but her shots were still sharp and fast. I noticed a bucket near her feet, which was full of mini water guns. I understood seeing that. She had been taking guns from others who were already out of the game. In this battle, reloading bullets, water, was more crucial than the actual shooting. The hole that you put water into on these guns is rather small. To put water through it from a faucet takes time and requires a certain amount of skill. In a battle like this, it would almost be suicidal. I understood that well, so I'd been taking guns from the people I defeated, but I could only hold one in each hand. Why didn't you take Mion's giant machine gun? Satoko used the bucket to overcome the limit. Rena looked like she had only one water gun. I'd assumed she had two earlier, but she must have used a lot of water during her long battle with Satoko. It looked like she was trying to save her water for the right moment, but with Satoko's fierce attacks, it was obvious there was only a matter of time before Rena was driven into a corner. However, Rena is also quite skilled. She only pretended to be driven into a corner, but she was actually luring Satoko to a place where she'd have the advantage. Ooh. There's a narrow, twisting path near the gymnasium warehouse behind the school building. That's very interesting. So Rena is the kind of person to have a plan like this, huh? Luring her somewhere where she has the advantage. Okay, I will keep that in mind. With Rena's water levels running low, she'd want to turn things around with a single close-range shot. That narrow path was a perfect place for her to do that.
あれあれ
God, this effect is so stupid.
攻撃の手が鈍ってきたね
Give me Satoko.
疲れてきた
Thank you.
お気遣いは嬉しいですけどまだまだでしてよ それよりそちらのお水は大丈夫ですのさっきから全然打ち返してきませんわよ
Sure.
ひょっとしてもう玉切れじゃございま
I
せ
still
ん
just
の
don't understand. I don't understand how this goes down, right? Like, how do they miss so many shots? What are they shooting at? Just the wall that the other person is hiding behind? Just don't do that. Like, or does the other person keep, like, peeking and then going back, you know, to, like, bait you to shoot over and over again and you just keep falling for it? Like, what are you wasting all of your water on, right? Like, You were just randomly shooting in the hopes that you were predicting that they're gonna randomly come out from behind the wall right then, right as you shoot, for no reason? I guess. I don't know.
そうだと思うならお顔を出してみたらどう？遠慮いたしましたよ。最後の一発を温存しているのは分かっています
Right, of course, of
一
course.
発あれば十分だよ。
One shot is all I
体
need.
操服を濡らした気の毒だからね。額を打ってあげるね。
I did not think we'd be getting that line from Rena.
まさかレナさんとこんなにもスリリングなやりとりができるなんて思いませんでしたわ。
Underestimated her,
で
huh?
も最後の一発分の水量では大して勢いもないでしょうから射程もほと
I
んど
don't
ないん
know.
じゃありません
You never know. One shot is all she needs. That is another, God, that's another thing. Another line that, like, feels like it could mean something, you know? Like, thematically, like, in terms of where we're going, you know? Like, for Rena. I don't know. I'm gonna write it down, just to keep it in mind. Satoko was right about that. Rena had just enough water to make one last shot. As the amount of water left in the tank dwindles, the range of shots you can make shortens. That makes the last shot the shortest and weakest of them all, because like the water pressure, yeah. Regardless of her absolutely disadvantageous situation, Rena didn't look frustrated. I could tell she had no intention to lose. It was almost like she didn't even see Satoko as a threat.
うまい位置に逃げ込みましたわね。私もさすがに慎重にならざるを得ませんわ。
You know, I'm thinking, like, that other game that Rena won, like, all the way back to Chapter 1, like, the zombie tag game, right? It's interesting, because, she won that one in, like, a almost what felt like almost like an underhanded way, where she just, you know, like, she ran off to the, what even was that? Like, the warehouse or whatever, I don't know what it was, the tool shed, something like that, you know? And she was just talking to Keiichi, saying like all these things to him, trying to stall for time until she just barely won, right before someone touched her, you know? Interesting. I don't know. That in and of itself is kind of like maybe not an underhanded way to win, but it shows that Rena does do things like that, I guess, right? Assuming she was doing that on purpose, right? You know. Makes me wonder how this game's gonna end, you know? Satoko seemed to understand how dangerous Rena's last shot was going to be better than I did, since she was the one actually fighting against her.
私、将棋はあまりやらないんですけれど、こういうのを詰将棋って言
I
うんでございます
suppose.
よね。
I suppose. Satoko took out another gun with a full tank and shortened the distance between them slowly and carefully. A gun with a full tank doesn't only have a long range, it also has enough power to make shots more accurate. If they shot at each other in a frontal attack, Satoko would have a 99% chance to win. Even so, Satoko was still afraid of Rena's last shot. Satoko shortened the distance even further, smiling as if unafraid, but I could tell she was actually full of fear. Satoko compared the situation to chess earlier, but it wasn't exactly the same. In chess, you can use some pieces to drive the opponent's king into a corner, but in this case, there's only Rena and Satoko. Two kings. You can lose some of your pieces in order to achieve a win, but Satoko doesn't have any pieces other than herself. That is interesting. Use some pieces in order to achieve a win. A king can't drive the other king into a corner alone. That's called a stalemate. That's why, while at first glance it looks like Satoko has the absolute advantage, they're actually on equal footing.
さあ参りますわよ。このままチャイムを待つなんて私たちらしくありませんわ。そうだね。
Oh yeah, that could just end, right? I guess that would be a true stalemate. That's strange, I thought. Rena wouldn't have to move just on a dare from Satoko. What kind of plan did she have? Maybe she actually does have another gun? I don't know. Rena had been hiding behind cover for a while, but she came out without hesitation. I noticed something right away. Rena had a different gun, alright. Satoko seemed to notice it as well.
ここには弾切れになったら逃げ込もうと考えててね。あらかじめ一丁拾って
Ah,
隠してあったの。
smart. Damn, she's good. In using a trap at the last moment for a come-behind victory, it was as though she was taking Satoko's best skill from her and firing it right back. Satoko no longer had any advantage now that both of them were pointing their guns at each other with full tanks. But she still looked confident. What was going on? Did she have some kind of plan, too?
その一丁は私にとっても大切な一丁でしたよ。
Interesting.
どうしてかな。
What do you mean?
だってその一丁がなかったらレナさんはさっきの銃のまま一撃逆転を狙い続けて、
I
こうして
see.
私の前に姿を現したりし
It's
ま
what
せんわね。
Satoko wanted. At that moment, lightning ran through my brain and I instantly understood the situation. Of course, Rena was in a disadvantageous situation earlier. It was actually the same for Satoko, since she didn't have a chance to make her shot while Rena was in hiding. Rena had remained cautious in order to hit her with her last shots, but that made it difficult for Satoko to attack her. However, what if Rena didn't need to take the last shot for a come-behind victory? No, I said it wrong. What if Rena got a new gun with a full tank? She'd stop hiding and come out to fight against Satoko. Interesting. See, that's interesting. That's interesting because it's almost like Rena's back on her feet, right? She has the gun with the full tank again, so she can start like trying again, right? She can face Satoko with all of her, you know, everything there. You know, she can try her best and really face her now, you know. And yet, that has led her to less of an advantageous situation that she was in before, you know. That's very interesting in relation to the whole thing we were talking about at the start with like trying your best and all of that, you know, and that being the best way to achieve happiness, all of that, you know. How in this case for Rena, it would have been better if she just stayed in that disadvantageous situation and like lured Satoko there, something like that, you know. It's interesting. Let Satoko talk crap, Rena. You don't have to listen to her. Just shoot her right now. Yeah, actually, why is no one shot yet? Rena thought the same thing. She shot at Satoko without any hesitation. But she frowned in confusion a moment after. Oh, Satoko emptied the gun. Satoko emptied it. Oh, God. Right, of course. Rena couldn't tell about, like, the weight of it? Come on. She couldn't shoot? Was her water gun broken? Or did somebody break it? Oh, no! Or did Satoko? Oh, so, yeah. That's crazy. No, so it wasn't empty, right? Satoko thought of that. She'd be able to tell it was empty right away from the weights. So she made it so it couldn't shoot. Oh my god. Right. That's crazy. Right. Interesting. That makes me think, right? Satoko said something like that similar in near the start of chapter 3, right? Where are we on the timeline, I wonder, right? In terms of like the progression of it, I guess, you know? Because again, it's like in chapter 1, 2, and 3, I felt like we were kind of slowly like creeping forward in time, right? Like chapter 1 was kind of the start, chapter 2, early stuff in chapter 1 had already happened, and we started at the game store. Chapter 3, the game store stuff had already happened, and we were a little bit later, right? So are we a little bit later than that now? Because chapter 4 and Miyakashi were, like, different and weird, right? Comparatively. I wonder. When it comes to traps, Satoko remained a notch above Rena after all. I couldn't believe Satoko figured out Rena's plan in advance to set a trap to counter it. And I guess, like, her saying this, a callback to a line that was early on in chapter 3, makes me think that, yeah, we are a little bit further on the timeline now, too, right? A little bit past some of the stuff that happened early in chapter 3, right? Rena, you made a big mistake. Wait, let me read that line again. When it comes to traps, Satoko remained a notch above Rena after all. I couldn't believe Satoko figured out Rena's plan in advance and set a trap to counter it. Rena, you made a big mistake. You should have kept the old gun with you. You could have at least made that last shot. But it's too late now for you to pick it up again. Rena was in a worse situation than she was before. She couldn't even take another shot. Oh, God. Maybe there's something she can do. What if you pull the trigger really hard? I don't know. That'd be trying your best, right? Satoko slowly narrowed her distance again and pointed the muzzle at Rena's forehead. Rena still didn't look like she'd given up. Maybe she lured her close. Right? Maybe she does have the other gun, right? Come on. He still thought the game was undecided. Come on. Sure. Killed me yet. Right. God, it's crazy Keiichi hasn't intervened, by the way, in all of this, hasn't just walked up and shot them both, like, I don't know. I guess he respects the duel, I suppose. Right, yeah, why isn't she, huh? Certainly. Oh, sure, she just, like, opens up the cap and just, like, throws it at her. When I heard her saying that, I started running. My target was Rena. Satoko was already dead to me. What? Why? She's going to be shot by Rena within the seconds. God. This is so stupid. Exactly. Rena raised her broken water gun up high and smashed its handle on the wall of the school building as hard as she could. The plastic broke easily and water flowed out of it. Right, did that hit her right there? Yeah. Rena was right. She just saved herself by thinking it through. If she was using a real gun, bullets would only come out from one end of the gun. But this was a water gun. She could make her bullets, water in this case, come out from any place, not just the barrel of the gun. Satoko finally realized she was standing defenselessly in front of Rena. Satoko's trap was successful, but she overestimated its effects. She should have just shot Rena without hesitation before Rena noticed her new water gun was jammed. She was going to fail because she'd grown overconfident of her victory. Oh, God. I want to try to apply all of this so badly to just all this stuff, you know, like thematically, the stuff we're setting up for, like, you know, what we're talking about in this chapter with all the Rena stuff, right? Trying your hardest, chasing happiness, all of that. Like, how could you apply that to this, right? Satoko overestimating the effect of the trap. Losing when she had victory within her grasp, you know? Like, I guess that's kind of like what it makes me think of. Interesting. A second before Satoko pulled the trigger, Rena swung her water gun as if slashing Satoko with a sword. Satoko fired her bullets, but it was too late. A second before Rena would be shot down, a blade of water hit Satoko in the face. No, not hit. It cut her face open. It really is just like chess, huh? Rena ran towards Satoko, who was standing still in shock, and took her water gun. Rena knew I was her last target, and that I was running towards her. Like, I'm telling you, Rika is hiding in the shadows somewhere still. A true confrontation. Rena, using her superior mobility, began to duck and weave. We were evenly matched. Neither of us neglected to make any effort possible to take advantage of the situation. Yeah. God. It makes you think of just like that opening scene, right? The confrontation there. I guess whoever wins now. You know, they both kind of won, right? We circled around the construction equipment, trying to take shots at each other. We were both sweating like crazy, but I didn't feel tired. Big drops of sweat tickled as they ran down my body. Rapid bursts of water flew across both of our paths. Neither of us had the advantage or disadvantage. I didn't feel elated that I might win or frustrated that I might lose. I was just enjoying this battle with Rena. It was like a dance that I couldn't dance alone. A dance that I could only dance with an opponent. Right. Very.
そのレナさんと互角に渡り合うなんてケイイチさんもやりますわね。どちらが勝つか全然予想がつきませんです。
Assumedly, maybe she's pretending to be out. In fact, none of the observers could tell who was going to win. Neither could we. We had no idea who was going to win. We had no idea when this battle would end. I didn't know why, but it was great fun just to fight against Rena, and I didn't even care whether I won or lost. In fact, I never even wanted it to end. As we fired at each other, both of our tanks emptied, shortening our range. Inevitably, it became more and more like a melee than a gun battle. We fired our water guns as if trying to cut each other with blades of water, swinging the gun like a sword. We both came up with the idea to swing the gun hard enough to generate centrifugal force, in order to increase the range of our attacks. Sure. I dived to duck her shot. This is insane. This is ridiculous. I rolled on the ground and landed on my feet. I ducked her shot again and swung my gun like a sword. Who could have imagined that our club's water gun battle would turn into one-on-one close combat like this? Absolutely nobody. I could imagine it.
ああ、やっぱりレナもそう思うか。
じゃあケイチ君もそう思うんだ。
We're both breathing hard, calculating the timing needed to take a closer step. And then, we both grinned wickedly at each other.
やり合うのが楽しくてならねえぜ。決着がつくことすら興ざめするくらいにな。
Well, it will end. Don't want it to ever end. That's an interesting thing to say. Feels like it calls back in a way to the Chapter 3 conversation with Rena, right?
負けても恨まないでね。
ああ、恨まない。この勝負を終わらせた自分の不甲斐な
Yeah,
さを恨
for
んでやるぜ。
ending the game. And yet the game does end,
だ
right?
がそいつを恨むのはどうやらレナの方になりそうだな。
どうかなケイチ君、足が藁だよ。
I mean, yeah, the way they're playing seems like it would be exhausting. Right? They're just sprinting around in circles around each other and stuff, right? Like, I guess it would be hard to shoot someone with a water gun if they were sprinting around you in circles, right? Like, maybe. You just have to, like, do crazy, like, juking and, like... it would be insane, right? Like, it would be so exhausting. They do. They're both very cool. I became relaxed enough to enjoy the battle, and finally realized that many of our classmates were watching our one-on-one fights. I barely had any water left. I would have to make the next shot count, or I was done for. It seemed like Rena was in the same situation, too.
泣いても笑っても次で終わりだな。
Checking something from my notes real quick that I just thought of, but I might just be stupid. Where was it? Why do I have gnome written down? okay, never mind.
水が有限なのが惜しいぜ。
Why do I have gnome written down? like a garden gnome? What? When did gnomes ever come up? I don't know. What do gnomes have to do? Whatever. Let me read this.
限りがあるから美しい。花も一緒だよ。
Sure, right.
なるほどな。そう。
本当に楽しかった。
People enjoy things because they end eventually. Is that... I don't know, is that true? That doesn't have to be true, right? Like, if we're talking about happiness, right? Like, just to draw it back to, like, the main thing, right? Your happiness, you don't only enjoy your happiness because it ends, right? I think being happy isn't like that, right? Like, people say that it's like, oh, if every day was your birthday, it wouldn't be special anymore. Something like that, you know? And, like, sure, but that's different than the idea of, like, happiness in and of itself, you know? Like, you can enjoy happiness and be happy forever, right? And never have it end, you know? I don't know.
でも、これで終わりだね。
だな。無粋かもしれんが、勝って決着させてもらうぜ。
Who's gonna win? Actually, I have no idea who's gonna win.
負けて泣くなよ。
I bet they're gonna shoot each other at the same time, and it's gonna be unclear who won.
勝負。
乗った。
Or Rika is pretending to be out when she actually isn't.
どっちが勝ったんですの？
Oh god, oh no. The cries of the cicadas echoed in the quiet schoolyard. They sounded like the hand of a watch, ticking away the seconds. Neither one of us moved. We took our final shots and now stood motionless. It looked like one of those duels in Western movies.
どっちが先に？
Yeah, how do we tell? How do we know?
わかんない。全然見えなかった。
They both win, maybe? Our classmates broke the silence first. They finally realized that our intensely beautiful one-on-one battle was over. Would they both win, or would they both lose?
委員長、判定は？
Mion, in turn, realized that she had to deliver a verdict to end the game. But she was just as stunned as the others, and it took her a moment to recover. Mion was taking time to render her verdict. In fact, Rin and I didn't know who won either. My last shot flew fast and splashed sideways as if a blade had cut her chest. I knew that for sure. But at the same time, Rena's shot hit me in the shoulder. Whoever shot the other first wins. But we didn't know if it was me or her. That's why we stood motionless, waiting for the verdict to be delivered. Whoever shot the first wins.
リカには見えまして？
Interesting.
僕にだって わかるわけないのです。委員長、どっちの勝ちなの？
Who won? Everybody held their breath, waiting for Mion to call it. Rena and I kept staring at each other. The spectators were the only ones who were interested in who the winner was. To us, it wasn't that important. We had a great battle. We had both really wanted to do better than the other. We both wanted to call it a tie. For this great battle, settling for a tie would be the best and most proper option. In other words, this one-on-one fight wasn't a battle to decide the winner. It seemed like everybody is thinking the same way.
Me? 判定が出ないと二人とも動けませんです。
Right. Mion hates to settle for a tie because she loves to draw a line between superiors and inferiors. God, don't say that. She tends to settle for a tie when deciding who is the loser because it's more fun to have as many people as possible suffer the punishments. But she's never settled for a tie between winners before. Mion holds a special feeling towards the meaning of being number one. Yeah. Everybody continued holding their breath, awaiting her verdict. God, it's just so interesting that she has, like, that attitude, right? Because of the whole Shion-Mion stuff and, like, the whole, all of that, It makes sense. I guess it makes sense that she would have that mentality, like, kind of drilled into her in a way. But, I don't know. Please make it a tie. Everybody wished for that in their hearts. Can it be a tie, though? That's the question, right? It's like, if we're thinking back to what Rena was saying about happiness, having to seize it and all of this, it's like, can it be a tie? Can two people win like that, Mion was hesitating to make the decision. She could have chosen a winner more easily if one of us did even a little bit better than the other. But even if one of us did a little bit better than the other, I feel like nothing fits better than settling for a tie.
今日の二人は見事だったよ。
Very. Mion finally started speaking.
ケイちゃんもレナもここしばらくの連敗に発奮し、最高の力を発揮してくれた。
Certainly.
その瞬発力は評価の高低の段階を超えて、もはや美しいと呼べるまでに昇華されてたよ。
The explosive power.
私は二人の最高の戦いぶりに評価を惜しめない。
Okay.
じゃあ決着はどうなるんですか？
I don't know. We're going somewhere. I don't know where we're going with this.
快速の精神から1位を二人に認定するのは好ましくない。
Although there were two winners in that zombie tag game in chapter 1. Mion and Rena.
二人にはわずかの優劣もなく、どちらを膠着させるかの判断もとてもつかない。
Okay.
よって本日の戦いを預かり勝負とし、
Okay.
後日改めて決着をつけることといたしたい。
I see. Okay. I expected she might settle for a tie, but I never thought she'd make us have another battle. Okay. I can't help but think that last time we had an unresolved thing like this, we never saw the end, which is the whole game store like tournament thing, right? We have never seen the end of that. So I wonder if we'll see the end of this or not.
かっこよすぎます。竜宮さんにもしびれました。なんかこう、まあ見てるこっちまで熱くなるというか。
The classmates rushed towards us and praised us for showing them something that cool. I wonder how Rena feels about it being a tie. She probably feels the same, but I don't know. I wonder. Rena and I were finally released from the tension of battle and dropped to our knees.
残念。決着をつけ損なったね。
まあな、次の機会を楽しみにしようぜ。
肩を貸してほしいな。
先に言うな。俺が借りようと思ったのに。
We both smiled at each other. It was the first time we ever hit it off like this.
それはそうと。
うまいことやったよな。
Indeed.
うまいことって
Oh,
何がですか？
not Mion? Who, Rika?
兄ちゃん、う
No,
まいこと言って、今日の罰ゲーム
Oh,
うやむ
sure.
やにする気
God,
だ。
I keep thinking about Rika secretly not being out. No, she's just out. Like, I need to stop. God.
ギク。
かっこつけときながら、保身第一ってあたりがミオンっぽい。
Sure, I suppose. I mean, you're just delaying the inevitable,
逃げ
right?
たぞ。
She starts running
そうか
away.
よ。わかりやすいやつだな。
The bell rang, a sign that class was over, where we all laughed at Mion. After that,
二人ともお疲れ様なのです。
thank you, Rika.
タオルをどうぞなのです。
Rika-chan held out a towel, a big smile on her face. However, Rena and I stepped back and pointed our water guns at her. Okay. Why are we pointing our guns at her then? I see. Rika was soaking wet. Well, nobody believed her, because she really could be that sneaky, pretending that she was hit in order to stay in the game. Right, yeah, dump a bucket of water on herself, yeah. I mean, that's where my mind went to, right? When we didn't see her go out. Yeah, like... God, don't say that. Aw.
段ボール箱の中でミーミー泣いて誰も拾ってくれないかわいそうな猫さんなのですよ。
What a thing to say.
ミーミー
She's really trying. She's really trying. God, that's so sad. Boom. The sound came from Rena's head. Oh, she's dead. It's over. I saw a circle of smoke coming out from it. I'm lonely like a poor kitten crying in a cardboard box because nobody wants her. Thank you, Rika. Thank you. Rena must have pictured Rika-chan meowing like a cat in a cardboard box. Ugh, ouch. Meep meep. Boom. Rena, you're ruining how cool we looked earlier. Rena was back to her normal self, and jumped on Rika-chan like a chameleon capturing its prey. A chameleon. Rika-chan struggles to get away. What's this track called? Boy in the Windmill. Right. Chi-sensei clapped her hands together and yelled at us from the window of the teacher's office. Everyone exchanged smiles and ran back to the classroom. Okay. God, that's only the first half of the subchapter. Man, we are... Oof. No, that's the full one. Pleasant weather. Pleasant weather. Weather, huh? Makes me think of Rika. That's all I'm saying. I feel like I keep saying that, but everything makes me think of Rika, right? God. One reason I like my house is because it has good ventilation. As long as there's a nice breeze, I don't have to rely on a fan to keep me cool. I can take down my futon from the windowsill, place my cushion near the open window, and enjoy the cool breeze of the evening. According to my page-a-day calendar, it's June, 1983 today. While it's still June, it seemed like summer skipped the rainy season and was already coming around the corner. This was very abnormal, apparently. Even if it was abnormal weather that only comes around once in 100 years, if it was supposed to come in June of 1983, then it wasn't so much of a big deal. It was inevitable. On the other hand, the sudden evening shower on the way home from school was more unpredictable than anything else. Every day had been in perfect harmony, as if it was all carefully planned. Interesting. I felt like something good was going to happen this year. How should I put it? It's like the feeling I get when I roll a 6 on the first throw of a board game and start off with a huge lead. When it comes to a die, the more you roll it, the more the total averages out. We actually roll a die many times every day of our lives, so it's not like one stroke of luck is really a big deal to be overly happy with. If I roll a 6 on my first throw, and a 1 on the next throw, the total is 7. If you believe in fate, you might say there's a higher possibility of a 1 to come up on the die. But you can never actually tell what number you will roll. That's what fate is all about. You might roll a 6 again. The chance of rolling a 6 twice in a row is 1 out of 36. Same chance as any 2 rolls in a row. Or every time you roll a die, the chance of those 2 rolls back to back is 1 in 36, right? But if you look at each throw one by one, there's only a 1/6 chance of that miracle. The glass wind chime Satoko put up yesterday was making a refreshing sound. Interesting, like, perspective on the weather, right? Saying it's inevitable. I don't know, it's so interesting, because again, it's like Rika, right? Rika has all this stuff about weather, and the way that she views it. Which is really interesting, because, like, Rika views, like, the weather as her only, like, salvation. Like, the only thing that's, like, can be different, right? Like, it's like this sign of hope, almost, for her, because if the weather can be different, then someday her life could be different, right? Things could change, right? Things, you know, she could become unstuck, right? Rena, well, I'm gonna assume that was Rena's point of view. I don't really know why I'm assuming that, other than I just am, right? Maybe that's not Rena's point of view, I don't know. Maybe it's not. Maybe it isn't. Is there any reason to think this is Rena's point of view? Maybe not, right? I don't think this is Keiichi, right? Keiichi doesn't ever talk about this, right? Keiichi's never talked about putting his futon on the windowsill and stuff, right? Like, I don't know, right? I don't think so, at least. But I don't know. The perspective exposited in this tip is very interesting, because it's like the weather being inevitable is something that feels like they almost take comfort in, you know? That it's like, it's okay what happens with the weather, because it's inevitable, because there's nothing you can do to change it, you know? And that like takes weight off your shoulders, perhaps, right? I don't know. Interesting. But then how do you relate it to... They say it's like the feeling when you roll a 6 on the first throw of a board game, start off with a huge lead, right? Where it's almost like, yeah, rolling a 6 on your first throw is good, and cool, and lucky. But over time, over the course of the game, you're just as it's likely that all the luck will kind of average out, and that it will just, you know, every time you roll the die, that you'll kind of end up around the same place as everyone else, right? Normally board games aren't long enough for like the luck to like average out like that, you know? That's kind of how it is, you know? We actually roll a die many times every day of our lives, so it's not like one stroke of luck is really a big deal to be overly happy with. Interesting, yeah. I mean, it is like a very mature way to view yourself and view your life, right? I try and do the same thing. I guess a perspective I take from this is, do you guys ever just have like those nights, those days where you stay up late and you have like bad, negative thoughts about like your life and where you're going and all of this, right? Like there's like a tweet, right? There's a tweet that I remember seeing a long time ago, which was just like, never trust how you feel about yourself or your life or anything past like 10 p.m. or something, right? It's like that kind of thing, right? I try and really take that to heart, where it's like, if I feel like I'm having a shitty, awful day, and I feel like mentally, like I'm just really negative and everything's just like bad, I try and just tell myself nonstop that it's just like, it doesn't matter. That it's just like, however I'm feeling right now will change, and it will be different in the future, you know? But yeah, even if you roll a 1 on one day, you can roll a 6 on the next day, right? I guess that's more like a mentality thing, rather than a, like events, right? Like the events of your life, right? Having a bad day, like, event-wise, versus having a good day. Like, rolling a 6 on one day, because everything goes so well, versus a 1 on the next day, because it's real shitty. That's harder to, like, have this kind of mentality about, right? That, you know. And in fact, that's interesting, because I said what I just said moments ago about your luck averaging out in the end, right? Your luck averaging out in the end, that, you know, over a long enough time period, upon rolling a die, you're gonna reach about the same number, right, as everyone else, right? Like, on average. Well, what does that say about your life? If you view your life as you roll a die every day, and the number that you get is how good that day is going to be, how you're going to feel about it, all of this, right? Well, that makes you think that that's going to average out too, right? That over time your life will just be average, right? I don't know. How do I feel about that idea? How do I feel about that idea, right? Because what I don't like about this, what I don't like about tying your fate and your everyday life to rolling dice is it takes it so much out of your control, right? The narrator here, which I want to say it's Rena, but I guess I don't know. It's like they take some amount of solace in the weather being inevitable. So it's almost like they're applying that same thing to their life, right? That good and bad days are like an inevitability. Which is true, right? Which is true, and there is certainly like of course that's a very important thing to recognize. Like what I was just saying about all that stuff, right? That you will have bad days where you feel like shit and bad things happen, and mentally you're just like not there and all of that, you know. And it's important to be able to recognize that and not have that like ruin you, you know. So I guess it's a good realization that yeah, you can have a 1 day. That doesn't mean you won't have a 6 day again. But if the solace you're taking in that is there's nothing, you know, it's just random. There's no influence I can have on that, right? That it's just like rolling a die. I don't like that at all, you know? But I guess that certainly isn't Rena's perspective. Seemingly. She seems to think that you try your hardest, right? Then I guess no matter what role you get, it's like that's not the only thing that decides, I suppose, right? You can still try, you know? You can try your hardest, right? Interesting. Interesting. Okay. We are probably gonna stop there, unfortunately. I'm sure people would want me to continue. Here, let me get through this so we can save on the proper screen. Only an hour and a half. I know, how horrible, how awful. I want to try in the future and do, like, longer episodes for Higurashi. Because, God, it's taken me fucking forever. Right? The only reason is just, I feel like it's been a year, right? It's been a year. It's been over a year. We're in chapter 6 out of 8. We still have 6, 7, 8 to do, and then we have Umineko. It's like, I feel like I gotta pick it up, right? Today, we aren't doing that, unfortunately. My wrist really hurts, and I don't know why. Halfway through going through this, like, I use my keyboard to, like, progress, right? I hit this. For some reason, my wrist really, really hurts right now. I was trying to find, like, a more comfortable position to, like, press the arrow key with, trying to use my other hand and stuff. My wrist hurts so bad right now, I have no idea why. Otherwise, I literally would continue, but I don't know what's going on, unfortunately. So, unlucky. I rolled a 1, I guess. Either way, I suppose that is it. So, if you enjoy my videos, please subscribe, leave a comment, tell me what you think, and I will see you in the next one.